Welcome back to the Always Connected series. My name's Joe Higgins, and we're going to continue talking about my first book, Hello Anyone Home. That's how our loved ones try to contact us through the use of signs. So in the last episode, we kind of talked about a little bit on how the method they use to connect with me, how I do my channeling, and some of the basic background of how I get the information and things like that. But today I want to talk about some of the specifics about getting signs. And in this particular episode, we're going to talk about different methods. This chapter in my book, Hello Anyone Home, you can get on Amazon, it's called Methods Unlimited. So I'm going to read you a little bit from the channel guides, how they explain it, and then I'm going to tell some stories and I'm going to kind of comment on this stuff. So the reasons that these specific methods of contact were chosen was to give you an idea of the variety of ways that we can go about trying to communicate with you. We have noticed that a majority of people possess the ability to recognize signs once they have understood these explanations. It is not our intention to try to make the connections more difficult than they can be. Believe me, we need them as simple as possible. Because most of the time they go right over our heads. We like to use familiar things that you interact with in your daily lives. It is also our intention to relate to the vast majority of people who have witnessed contact through these methods. So they want to use familiar signs that maybe in a particular culture, they use certain signs, another culture that might use other things. But things that people are used to, either they've heard about them or they're at least familiar with the concept. Depending on the individual, specific methods may be used, and they include the phenomenon of apparitions. These are used in specific circumstances where loved ones wishes to appear physically before the ones they left behind. At times, this method can create intense feelings, including happiness, joy, and on certain occasions, anxiety and stress. And that's one of the main things when they give us signs. They don't want to scare us. So it's like, some people wake up and they see mom at the end of the bed or something, and they're like, cool, that's great, I want to see them. And then you have other people like me, it's like, I wake up, I don't want to see anyone in my room. So they don't show me that stuff, but because I don't want to see it. So, but I'm open to all the other signs and communications. So it depends on each individual. Okay. It is not our intention it's not the intention of past loved ones to create unease for the recipient of the sign. There are times when a physical appearance may disrupt the relaxed atmosphere at the time of contact. We understand that if you're awake in the middle of the night and see a loved one sitting in your room, it has the possibility of being intimidating and causing stress to you. Yeah, I like to call that a WTF moment. And that's why I just don't allow it. So, and that's the thing too, you guys can tell them what you want, what you don't want. But I'm switching up on them. On these occasions, the loved one has disregarded some of the limitations we have put on contact and continued on with their express will to show themselves. We do try, however, to intercede to make your acceptance of these appearances more relaxed and comforting. So someone might say, yeah, I want to see my mom, or I want to see my husband or something in the physical. And then when it happens, they feel like they're going to freak out. But spirit will work with this individual to be able for you to experience this appearance without you freaking out. Every individual spiritual entity has free will as to the actions and responsibilities that they have to take. When the spirit loved one decides to make an appearance, we feel the spirit is doing this out of intense emotional joy so as to be able to be recognized and accepted. While we prefer to coach the newly arriving spirits and various methods that are available and accepted, at times your loved ones can be a little bit impatient and sometimes downright pushing. We are here to guide them and give them instructions. However, in the end, they will make the ultimate decision as to how they wish to contact you. And a lot of times people will feel like they're getting a sign, but it's overwhelming. And most of the time it's just their loved ones, just like they're so happy to try to get through that they don't listen to any of the, methods that they teach you on the other side and all the stuff about, we have to be patient with people over here so we're not freaking out. Sometimes they're just like, forget it, I'm doing it on my own. Hey, honey, hey, guys, and they're like, Some people are like, oh, I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things, and it's like, next thing you know, they're breaking out the rosaries. So there's a balance. They try to make a balance for us. So many times people have close relationships with the natural surroundings of the physical plane. Within these boundaries are methods of contact that can be arranged to show a sign. We have the ability to intercede in the action of the animal world, as well as with plants and the weather. If someone would recognize a sign more easily through the action of an animal or a significant flower or breeze, then this would be implemented in the choice of contact. We are not limited as to the methods of contact, and we have vast interacting abilities within the physical plane. Now, in my second or third book on I Got Your Message, I had to just check the name again, we talked about that a little bit more, how they use different methods, and as our technology improves or certain cultures change, they will change certain signs, and they'll start going towards weighing more on maybe something that's more currently correct. I remember a couple of years ago, actually it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I had a lady come up to me after a symposium and said to me, I get messages from my mother, and I got one the other night, and like 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I was like, "Would you see your mother?" She goes, "No." I heard a voice. It was coming through Alexa. I guess she had one of those Alexa things in her room, and it was just her mom just said, "I love you," and it was very calming to her. So some people get phone calls. Some people get a lot of times people get signs through their deceased loved one's cell phone that some of them aren't even on. Some of them don't even have the battery in them. And they'll get a call from the deceased loved one's phone. So, what they're showing is they can use electronics. They do a lot of it with music. And I'm sure a lot of you had experiences where you're thinking about a loved one, and all of a sudden maybe their favorite song comes on the radio, or a song that you guys enjoyed together. So they can do electronics. They can do it through smells, sounds, all sorts of stuff. And we'll go over a few of these. One of the first ones they talk about is smells. Now, when you use our senses, smell is a really strong sense we have. Actually, I don't know if smell or hearing. I think hearing is the last thing that goes before we cross over if we're in a coma or something like that. But smells bring us back to memories and places we've been. It's kind of like an old song, make you think of high school, but you might get certain scents and things like that you relate to, like when you were a little kid and your grandfather used to smoke a pipe, and he passed over a few years back, and all of a sudden you're in a room and you're thinking about your grandfather, or it might be his birthday or something like that. And all of a sudden you smell this pipe smell. Okay. You're immediately going to recognize it, and they know that. So that might be one particular way they'll send a sign. Now, case in point, when my father used to come through, actually, I think it was the first time it came through me directly, not through a medium or some other method. So I was working on my computer, and all of a sudden I could smell cigar smoke. And I was like, wow, where's that coming from? And I remember it was later on in the year, so all the windows were closed. There was no one else in the house. I don't smoke cigars. So it was just really a strong smell of cigars. So then it hit me. I was like, okay, Dad, I know you're here. That's a great sign, because there's no other way cigar smoke's going to be in this house. And I think I was working on one of the books too. And I remember a couple of years after that, he came. I was doing some editing on a book, and he came. He was in the room. I could feel him, but the cigar smoke was there. And then it got so powerful, I was like basically choking on it. I was like, Dad, listen, I know you're here and I love you. It's nice to have you around, but you got to cut the cigars because I'm choking over here. And he did. It's dissipated, and it started to go away, which was great. But it was like, this was a certain point. Like, I know you're here, but cigars can be strong. He loved cigars. He smoked them all the time. And so that was a perfect sign from him. Another sign I actually got from my mother when it came to smells, towards her end of her life, she didn't eat that much, and she didn't have too many things she could enjoy, like a lot of people, unfortunately. But she loved her coffee. She loved to have a fresh cup of coffee, and she really enjoyed that. Um, so about a year after she passed, I was out having dinner, and I came home with my girlfriend, and came into the house, and we were going to go to the kitchen because we had some leftovers we're going to put in the refrigerator, and then we're going to watch a movie. So we come into the house, and we go through the dining room, and then to the kitchen, and we put our stuff in the refrigerator, and then grabbed a water or something like that, and then walked back out through the dining room to go to the living room to watch the movie. As we're watching through the dining room, I just had this overwhelming smell of coffee. And not just like a cup of coffee. I'm talking like brewed coffee. I'm talking like, the holidays when you brew a big, big container of it after a meal or something like that. So, anyone that wants coffee, you can have it. The kind of smell that stays in the house for like hours. So I was going to say something, but I didn't. And I just stopped and I turned to my friend Peg. I said, do you feel like anything's different? And she looked at me. She was like, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. I just feel like anything's different. She was like, oh my God, it smells like coffee in here. And I'm like, I thought so. That's great validation. It's always nice when someone else picks up a common sign, which in the other book I talk about group signs and the meaning behind those. She's like, oh my God, where's that coming from? I said, I think it's my mother. She goes, oh my God, it's so strong. She goes, no one's in the house, Joe. I said, I am. So then I walked out and I was kind of grinning, went in, got the TV set up. And then she came walking in. She was like in shock. And I'm like, yeah, it's a sign from my mother. I mean, where else would it be? She loved coffee. And, she always used to ask for it and stuff when she was bedridden. And so, and I said, the funny thing is, you walk back in that room now, I bet you that smell's not even there anymore. She goes, that's impossible. Coffee smells lingers for a while. I said, go ahead. So she turned around and walked back into the dining room, and I could see her through the hallway. She's like, oh my God, it's gone. She came back. She goes, Joe, the smell's gone. I said, I told you. They do stuff with smells and scents. And she goes, but it was so strong. It's like, that should have been around for a couple of hours. I said, I know. It was really good coffee she'd sent through. So that was really fun because I got to see the excitement on her face. I also got, obviously I was touched by the sign myself, but to see it, for her to experience it was really good. And her and my mom got along very well, very well. They'd only known each other for maybe a year or two or something like that, but they were fast friends right from the beginning. So I think it was a way for my mom to say hi to her too. And she appreciated that. So yeah, there's and I do get a lot of people that mention to me that they also get smells or scents from their father or grandfather, cigarettes, sometimes, like I said before, pipe smell, a lot of times perfume. A lot of times you get perfume, would come out of nowhere, and it'll be like, oh my God, my mother used to have that type of perfume, used to have that scent. And we're talking like, it's not even in the house they lived in, so they've never been in this house, or it could be 500 miles away from where the mother lived and stuff like that. It doesn't make any difference. And people will say, oh, maybe it's the clothes are still in the closet or something. No, that doesn't cut it because it happens all over the place. It can happen outside. It can happen in a hotel room. Like I said, it can happen in someone's apartment 500 miles away. And, but they will recognize that particular scent. It's like, oh my God, that smells like mom's perfume. So, because they know you're going to get it, most of us get it. Because scent is a pretty strong thing. It's kind of like, if something's off in the room, like something fire, something to burn down, or something, you're pretty active when you smell something different. You kind of like your ears pick up, you pay attention to it. So it's a very common sign, and they'll continue to use it. And if they think that's what is going to get through to you, then that's what they'll use. Now, one of the big things is when they decide to give a sign, the first thing they do when they cross over is they decide if they're going to give a sign. And if they're going to give a sign, they're going to decide when, where, and how they're going to do it. Okay. Now, our spirit guides or some of their loved ones help them a little bit to acclimate them on the process. Except for those, like we just talked about, get a little pushy. It's like, now I know how to do it. Don't tell me I know how to do it. And then they're tripping over things in your bedroom. So the first thing, like I said, they're going to see if they're going to give a sign. Sometimes they're not going to give a sign right at the beginning because it might cause too much grief or scare people. So a lot of times they'll wait a little bit of time, or they might come through a loved one to pass that sign on. And we see this a lot of times after a particular service of one that someone that has passed. Someone either at the funeral or the gathering or something like that will then sign to that particular loved one to pass it on because they feel it's the person will accept it coming from a friend or a relative, like, hey, to your sister or something, I just smelled dad's cigar or something like this, and blah, blah, blah. And they might be able to accept it. Whereas the person comes through directly, they might be too much in mourning or grief to be able to accept that. They don't do that all the time. Sometimes they'll just wait. So once that's decided that, all right, we're going to give you guys a sign, and we might do it now. If we're not going to do it now, we'll do it later, but we're going to decide on when and where and how. So what they do is, this is a good analogy a friend told me years ago. It's like when we go into a grocery store and we're walking down the aisle, we're looking to the left, to the right. We're going by the cans of beans. We got cereal over here. We got bread over here. Milk's down at the bottom. And, we're looking at different things that we're going to pick off the shelf. What they do is they walk down an aisle and everything are memories or things we might recognize on the shelves. So they might say, can we send them a smell? Or do I want to send them something they might recognize from our honeymoon or that great vacation we took 2 years ago? Or maybe that blouse I bought so-and-so, or the shoes. She'll recognize the shoes because she tripped down and fell or something like that. So they might say, all right, we're going to use that. Now, where are we going to be able to do it at? And then they'll find a place where they'll be able to get your attention. So let's say they're going to give you a sign on a pair of shoes. And I use this because my sister got a sign from one of her friends about some patent leather Mary Jane shoes or something like that. And as soon as I said it to my sister, she was like, oh yeah, I know exactly who that is. Because she always used to talk about those famous shoes and that she used to love to dance and stuff. And so, okay, I'm losing my thought here. So anyways, they'll decide where they're going to do it. And they want to pick a place where you're not going to be too distracted. So let's say you're at a baseball game. They're not going to try to come through and give you a sign about the shoes or something because it might go right over your head. Although they can't do that because there are billboards at the park or at the field, and I've seen it before. You never know. If you're nice and relaxed, that's the main thing. If you're relaxed, it's easy for them to come into you. If you're running around with your head cut off and you're trying to do 10 things at once, I can drop the kids off, soccer practice, I got to go pick this up for dinner, I got to make dinner, they're not going to try to come through, because if they do, a lot of times you're just going to dismiss it because you got 10 things going on all the time. It's like, oh man. So they try to kind of, when you're daydreaming is the best. If you're just calm in there, listening to music or something like that, or if you're outside gardening or anything that you're doing, I call active meditation, meaning if you're doing like sewing or anything repetitive act, you could be out there shooting basketballs, just shooting hoops, and your mind's wandering. Anything repetitive usually does it. They'll try to slip in and give you the sign there. Okay, so they're gonna pick a time where you are as relaxed as possible, because stress and heavy grief and confusion and daily life is a real sign killer. So that's why a lot of times they'll be shooting signs at you and they'll be like, you go right over your head. But if you're still open to it, they'll continue to do it. And it's only when don't want it or you shut down, that they'll stop trying to send a sign to you. Some people say, "Oh, I never get a sign," and there's various reasons for that. Uh, Sometimes people aren't ready for a sign, and I've had people say, "Oh, I'm ready, I'm ready," and from what Spirit had told me is, people always say they're ready, but deep down in their heart, they really are not ready, and Spirit knows that. So, like I said, they don't want to bring you any, uncomfort or anything like that. So, I always say, leave it up to them to figure out how, when, where, and how it's going to go about. Sometimes the signs are very subtle, and sometimes they're literally on the side of a truck. And I've had people say, "I can't get signs, blah, blah, blah." And the spirits tell me, they get you signs all the time. They're going to try one more time. And they said, "This is it." And the sign she got like 4 hours later was actually the name of her father, was on the sign of this tractor trailer that she was stopped at a red light, and this tractor trailer was coming through. And it was, I don't know if it was a moving company or something like that, but I had her dad's name on it or something like that. So it was like a billboard right in front of her. It was like, "In your face, do you get the sign?" So she laughed and she told me that, yeah, she said, "I got the sign." I said, "Did you thank them?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Good. Get a sign, say thank you. I appreciate it," because it takes them energy, it takes them work, and it's nice to be appreciated. So when we ask for a sign, we just let it go, ask for it. Don't ask to put any stipulations on it. Like I said the other day on one of the other episodes, people will be like, "All right, I'm going on vacation. Don't give me a sign. I'm going on vacation next week. I should be back in about 10 days, but then I got to do all the laundry and stuff, so I don't want to miss it." So don't do that. Just say, "Let me have a sign when it's right for both of us," and let it go. And then once they give it to you, say, "Thank you. I appreciate it. And I can feel you in my heart." And they will continue to give you signs for as long as you want or need them. So it can be ongoing. And sometimes, you might get one, might not get one for 5 years. And that's okay too, because if you see other people getting signs, and that's another thing about this book too. A lot of people might not get signs, but they read about them, other people's experiences, and they're like, "Well, it's got to be, all these people are getting signs." Instead of saying like, "Why aren't I getting one?" They realize there is something to it. People are getting signs. And maybe they say, "Well, maybe I just don't understand that," you know? So, or sometimes they'll say is, "Oh, I wonder if that was a sign I got last year." And they tell me these stories. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Some of these signs are so like blatant. People are like, I'm like, "You don't think that was your daughter?" And she says, "Now that I think about it, I think it really was." I'm saying to myself, "Yeah, it was. It really was." So most of the time it's us that screw it up. So don't blame them. Just look in the mirror. They will try, and they want you to let you know that they are around, that their consciousness, their love for you is still there. They can feel your love for them. It's a two-way street. That energy builds. Um, and if you have, you can ask them for advice, and they'll try to get it to you. Try to get you the answers and things, if they can. And so you could still have a relationship with your loved ones. They're doing their thing, we do our thing, but we can still share memories. And they love to, when we go on trips and vacations, they come with us. They love it. I've had people come through, giving a reading or something. I'm like, they're telling me you're going on vacation. Your sister's here and she's got her backpack and she's like already getting ready to go with you. And they're like, "Oh, we're going to the Caribbean next week. Or we're going on a cruise or something." I'm like, "Well, she's waiting for you. So, she's waiting to get in the car with you to go to the airport." So they do. They like to enjoy places you go. And if you go to some place new that they've never been, they love that too. They'll be there and be like, "This is the first time. We love this." Or if you go to places you guys have been before, they're very comfortable there, obviously, because they've been on that trip before. But I've seen that many times. Many times they've told me they're going on a trip. And before I even know, before the person even mentions they're going on a trip. So they are involved in our lives. So that's important. But for now, keep it simple. Ask for a sign, let it go, and just be aware that they will try to put something together for you. And I know you might think you get the sign and be doubtful. That's okay. That's natural. Next episode, I'll tell you about one of the first signs I got from my aunt that caused me to write this book, the first book, and how. Well, I'll let you know. Come back and we talk about that one. I got two signs, the same sign within 6 days, because I wanted another one. But I'm like, I know better. I'm like, I know better. I need to ask for another one, but I am human. So she gave it to me. But I'll tell you about that story in the next episode. So for today, there's a little basis on getting signs and how they work it. And so good luck with it. And I'm sure they will try to contact you. And just to show that they're still around, they love you, they're in your thoughts. And it shows that we're always connected. We really are. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to understand that, but that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. So on that note, have a good day or a good night, wherever you are. And oh yeah, I'm supposed to ask, subscribe if you do that, and also hit the like button. That would be great. So we can grow this page and this channel and help a lot of people. Okay, that's it. Have a good one. See ya.